Hello y'all, I'm Wayne from Dallas, Texas, and I react to all things UK. And today I'm reacting to a video called Guy Fawkes and the Gunpowder Plot, the real story. So I'm going to get into this and see what I know. This is by a channel called Historic Royal Places. And I know Bonfire Night's a big thing for the culture there in the UK, and I want to learn more about it. And so this says it's the real story. I haven't seen this video before, but let's check it out.
The light of the true faith is fading. Heretics have taken our country. Nothing but a pack of fools and cowards. They shall receive a terrible blow this Parliament, and yet they shall not see who hurts them. Our message is clear. A dangerous disease requires a desperate remedy. For we shall give them something to remember. Remember, remember, the 5th of November. Gunpowder, treason, and plot.
There it is. The Gunpowder Plot.
1605, the early hours of the 5th of November. Deep in the cellars beneath the Palace of Westminster, a man holds up a flickering lantern. Around him, 36 barrels of gunpowder. Guy Fawkes is set to blow up Parliament, and the King along with it.
Right.
In a time of wicked religious persecution, do Fawkes' actions make him an anti-hero or a villain? The Gunpowder Plot is one of the most audacious plots of all time. But for the plotters, how did it end in such catastrophic failure? In 1603, the last Tudor monarch, Queen Elizabeth I, dies. She is succeeded on the throne by King James VI and I, the first Scottish king to rule in England. For years, Catholics in England have been persecuted and killed because of their faith, and the Catholic minority is seen as a threat to the Protestant state. But with a new king comes a new hope for tolerance and religious freedom. As the son of the Catholic Mary, Queen of Scots, it is assumed that James will seek leniency for English Catholics. But their hopes are quickly extinguished, and it remains illegal to practice Catholicism. Against this background, a small number of Catholics are becoming increasingly radical, disappointed by the state's failure to give them back the freedom they hope for to worship in their own way. Catholics in England feel abandoned. Today, it's Guy Fawkes who we associate with the Gunpowder Plot, but the mastermind was Robert Catesby.
Okay, didn't know that.
Catesby is young, charismatic, and utterly devoted to the cause. Around him, he assembles a team of like-minded, disillusioned Catholics, ready to stand up for their beliefs. On Sunday, 20th of May, 1604, 5 men, the inner circle of plotters, meet together at the Duck and Drake Inn. Catesby,
Duck and Drake.
Thomas Winter, John Wright, Thomas Percy, and, of course, Guy Fawkes. Catesby persuades them that the time for submission is over. He states, "The nature of the
Disease requires so sharp a remedy."
For these men, the English Protestant state can only be brought to account through violence. And so, the Gunpowder Plot is born. Catesby and his band of plotters hatch an audacious plan to blow up the House of Lords on the state opening of Parliament. In attendance will be the King, members of the royal family, and all the chief ministers. The plotters begin to act. In a vault beneath the House of Lords, they assemble 36 barrels of gunpowder, enough to create a devastating explosion. To avoid detection, the gunpowder is ferried by boat across the River Thames at night. Fawkes is a former soldier and gunpowder expert, so he will be the one to light the fuse. The rest of the plotters await news of the explosion, ready to put the second part of their plot into action. They will rally an uprising of Catholics in the Midlands, kidnap the 9-year-old daughter of King James, Princess Elizabeth, and place her on the throne. She is to be the figurehead around which their vision of a new Catholic England will emerge.
Okay, so I have heard the story quite a bit. It's not something we're taught in school, but just my fascination with England has brought me to learn about this. I guess it's something you folks are taught there in school. Do you still study this? I know there's some controversy around this, but history is history, and we should learn it. But I just wonder, how much it is still in your schools there. But this is interesting. Let's get back to it.
Ruling a divided kingdom of religious factions is no mean feat. King James relies heavily on his chief minister, Robert Cecil. Cecil is a spy master sitting at the head of a vast network of spies, ever alert, listening, watching for the rumblings of rebellion. Threats to the Protestant state are never far away. The night of the 4th of November, 1605, the plan is set, the gunpowder is planted. The only thing left to do now is wait. One man stands in a cellar, about to light a fuse that will change the course of a nation. The fuse is never lit. Guy Fawkes is caught with a lantern, a fuse, and enough gunpowder to cause an explosion that would have destroyed everything within 200 feet. Fawkes is arrested and dragged to the Tower of London for interrogation. He gives the name John Johnson so as not to betray his fellow plotters. Fawkes is even taken in front of the king, and he tells King James, "I wish to blow the Scottish king and all of his Scottish lords back to Scotland." But how did this plot come so close to succeeding, only to fail at the final hour? The answer to this question lies in an anonymous message. The Monteagle letter, a note allegedly sent to Lord Monteagle on the 26th of October. It warned Monteagle to stay away from the state opening of Parliament. The note read, "They shall receive a terrible blow, this Parliament, and yet they shall not see who hurts them." On receiving the letter, Monteagle took it straight to Robert Cecil. But it was supposedly King James himself who recognized the threat and ordered a thorough search of Parliament. It was there that they found Guy Fawkes, the fuse in his hand. But who was it who sent the letter to Monteagle, and why? This remains one of the biggest mysteries in English history. The most likely candidate is Francis Tresham, brother-in-law to the Catholic Lord Monteagle. It seems natural that Tresham might have wanted to keep him safe. Or some historians think that Monteagle might have written the letter himself, following a verbal confession from Tresham. Perhaps this was Monteagle's way of revealing the plot to the authorities without implicating himself in it. There's another theory. Perhaps Robert Cecil wrote the letter himself, having learnt of the plot's existence. Cecil could have used the letter as a trap with which to catch the plotters. But it's a theory that's largely discounted by historians. Catesby heard news of the letter, and yet he sees no threat in the existence of a warning letter and decides to push on with the plan. It's the morning of the 8th of November, 3 days after the plot has been discovered. With Guy Fawkes imprisoned in the Tower, the remaining plotters attempt to rally their Catholic rebellion in the Midlands. But their attempt fails. They're ambushed, outgunned, and surrounded. Along with other more recent recruits to the plot, Catesby, Percy, John and Christopher Wright, and Thomas Winter are the only core plotters left for the final stand. They have barricaded themselves in at Holbeach House, on the Staffordshire border. And in a final act of defiance, they prepare to defend the house until the last. Percy and Catesby are hit by the same bullet. Catesby crawls into the house where he dies, holding a crucifix and an image of the Virgin Mary. The brothers Wright also die in the siege, but Thomas Winter, the only remaining original plotter, is arrested and taken to the Tower of London. Back at the Tower, Fawkes' interrogation soon turns to torture. Fawkes boldly refuses to give up his fellow plotters, adamant that he acted alone. King James declares the gentler
tortures are to be used first, and then, by degrees, to the worst.
Fawkes' spirit may not have been broken by the torture, but his body certainly was. We can see from his signature, before and after his interrogation, which goes from confident and decisive to a shaken blur of ink on paper. By the end, his testimony is no longer needed to name his fellow plotters. They are all dead or captured. The plot had failed. On the 31st of January, 1606, Guy Fawkes is executed at Westminster. Fawkes is hanged, drawn, and quartered. In all, 9 men are executed. He and his fellow plotters are immediately presented as violent and murderous villains by the Protestant state. It's true to say that this small band of radical plotters did not have widespread Catholic support. Were Catesby and his fellow plotters' beliefs just too extreme for the majority of Catholics? Was this the reason the plot was doomed to fail? After the plot was foiled, persecution continues, and the Protestant state cracks down further on the civil liberties of Catholics. Today, the character of Guy Fawkes has become a global anti-establishment figurehead. But was he a villain or an anti-hero? The Gunpowder Plot is remembered and commemorated differently by succeeding generations, each using it to represent their own political and cultural agendas. Were the plotters pushed to desperation by religious persecution from an intolerant state? Or were they radical extremists, too blinded by their own beliefs to see a better path to freedom? And who was behind the mysterious letter that led to the unraveling of the most daring plot of all time? What do you think?
Okay, then. That was a fun video. I haven't done, that's really the first reaction I've done to UK history, and I guess I've kind of slowly been getting into it, or haven't gotten into it yet, because I have studied a lot of it, especially for an American, and I knew a lot of that story right there already. I didn't know how the last collaborators or plotters were captured there. I didn't know that part of it, but I definitely knew several parts of that story, and I don't know how fun it is to react to someone who already knows how the story ends, but I do have some UK history videos coming up, and I'm going to start a playlist there and add UK history into my categories of UK places and culture and food, and I might add history and start doing some history reactions, and it'll definitely help me update some of my knowledge. And I'm sure, you have history that goes back, who could know all the history? So I just have broad overviews, and if there's a UK history category on Jeopardy, then I usually do pretty well, because just general knowledge is what I have. So that was a lot of fun. I wish you all a happy bonfire night, and if you can, take a minute, just like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.